Hey, everybody, it's Tommy Canale, and welcome back to Before the Lights podcast, the show to find out how those in sports, music, and entertainment made their mark. Go get your coffee or a drink and settle in. Joining me today is the co-founder and chief strategy officer at FanFood, an officer in the U.S. Army Reserve, one of the top entrepreneurs in the country. FanFood is a leading online and mobile ordering and delivery platform. It's been featured in Entrepreneur, Chicago Tribune, and Sport Techie. He's named top 25 under 25. Please welcome to the show, Carson Goodale. Carson, how are you?
I'm well. That was awesome introduction. Thank you. I'm well. How are you doing?
Doing well. Were you one of the kids that had the lemonade stand, sold the baseball candy, and just excelled at that?
Yeah, I painted rocks.
Okay.
You know? I made a side hustle on painting rocks at the garage sale. Yep.
All right.
You got it.
I thought that might be in your background there somewhere. You attended the University of Iowa and studied business administration and finance there.
Yep.
What was your early on career path in your mind that you wanted to do?
Yeah, no, my uncle was kind of took the finance route, and that's where a lot of my inspiration, I think, came from. Studied finance, and I think I was looking to go into the investment, traditional investment banking. I really liked the idea of equity research, value investing. I read a lot of books on value investing, Warren Graham and Benjamin Graham, Warren Buffett, things like that. So it was that was the original path.
Okay, what did anything that you took from the military give you that you're using today?
Yeah, and it's all leadership, a lot of leadership skills.
Okay.
Definitely. I think the military did a really good job of is training, how to be mentally, physically, emotionally resilient, especially for the business that, we started and then been able to kind of get through the pandemic. I don't think been able to get through where we are today without some of the lessons that I've learned in the military.
2014. FanFood starts. Was it a solo idea, and where did the concept come from?
Yep. So I was attending the University of Iowa. I remember a group of buddies of mine. We were all at a bar watching some sports games, and I was complaining about a crappy bar experience. And I remember to kind of complaining to them, wouldn't it be great if I could order a drink off my phone and have a server bring it to us rather than us having to kind of navigate through this crowded, bar. I think the idea at the time, there was a lot of opportunity for on-demand kind of ordering technologies. And I pivoted with the help of some co-founders. I asked to kind of join and pursue this idea in college. We pivoted to sports and live entertainment because at the time, that's where I felt the biggest opportunity was. Not a lot of competition in the space. And we were really competing with connectivity concerns. And as time goes on, every year, connectivity only gets stronger and stronger and more affordable, and that ease of access. And in my mind, that we went to go solve the biggest pain point as a fan in a sporting event, and that's waiting in line 20 minutes for a hot dog and beer.
Were there any other models then used to help create the one you have? I mean, did you look at anything that was on the market already?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, in 2012, Grubhub had IPO'd as kind of the first online mobile ordering, like delivery kind of business. It's I would say that that's kind of, we're not in the business or logistics business. And what I mean by that is like providing labor to actually do that last mile fulfillment. We're providing kind of a software platform to streamline operations, make things more efficient, help improve the bottom line. But like, as I just said, really allow fans to deliver that ultimate kind of fan experience. That's kind of the mission and the purpose of why FanFood was created, right? So it is a different business model, but I think the on-demand kind of concept, I mean, it translates to Uber. Being able to order a taxi, on demand on your phone, or using your like house space and releasing that out, Airbnb. There's all these kind of on-demand, direct to consumer models that I think, you take bits and pieces of and, yeah, I think that's just seemed like the trend for sure.
How did the name Fan Food then happen?
That one I'm going to have to give to my co-founder for the ideation of Fan Food, the name. Brilliant name. The original kind of concept, because at the time, right, it was just a bar. We came up with the idea in a bar, and that original name was Barista. And so when we went to Fan Food, that was just it's all his idea. So I got to give credit where credit's due.
Were there any other ideas that you tried first before you settled in on what the current platform is?
I think like our first attempt, and we launched at my partner's high school, was the original concept was in venue, just straight up express pickup line. So as a fan inside your seat, you would order concessions on your phone and you get a notification when they're ready for pickup. So it's kind of bypassing any lines. That was kind of the first problem that we met and went to solve for. But, we wanted to get to the in-seat delivery piece, right? Like being able to order something in your seat and then get it delivered. But the problem, like with high school, is a lot of the stands are not really labeled. So, and like the GPS technology isn't quite there where you can really pinpoint it, especially in a really crowded environment like a sports stadium. So, and then the next question is, okay, then who's providing that labor? And what we learned from, the food delivery businesses, well, we didn't want to do it because we're still trying to achieve scale. And when we say, yep, we're going to provide all this labor and operate this, that slows our growth down quite tremendously. So, that was the next feature, kind of functionality that we rolled out to the platform after the express pickup. And then the one after that was the ability to order ahead. So if I'm going to an event and I know I'm going to order concessions, I don't think any game is complete without ordering concessions, getting the ability to order that ahead. And what we're starting to see now, which is kind of cool, is that our customers, the venue operators, are starting to add certain products outside of just food and beverage. So like merchandise, and starting to include things like ticketing. So be able to create, I'm going to create a pre-order store and only offer tickets. And then in that same app, have the ability for, that same day pickup for concessions. And it's just kind of that, that one-stop shop. And it's really cool to see like our customers leveraging creativity to really expand the platform.
That's pretty cool. To give my listeners an idea of just what it takes to put something like Fan Food together, did you have some angel investors? And if so, how much did you have to raise to get this thing kicked off?
Yeah, pretty traditional entrepreneur, story where, as the co-founders and I in college, and we used up in the early days, I think they call it the bootstrap, right? Mm-hmm. So savings into an early concept, and we put probably 10, 20 grand into a MVP, so a minimal viable product, just enough to be able for a fan to order something for express pickup, right? Like that was our first goal. The initial product was not pretty, not sexy. And quite frankly, I was embarrassed of it. But I think the more important thing was get it to market, get feedback, and learn to see if there is something there, right? And we felt pretty strongly that after that, those first couple of, events that we were operating at, that, yeah, there was definitely something there. So our next round was, we did a round of family and friends. So I remember we all attended the University of Iowa. We booked out Kinnick. So Kinnick is a football stadium. And we booked out one of the suites. And we put on this event, catered event, invited all of our family and our friends to it, cousins, aunts, uncles. And the goal is like, okay, let's just see how much money. We're going to put on this fancy presentation. We're going to get all dressed up. We're going to kind of schmooze our family and friends and see how much money. And we did well. We raised a good amount of bit. I want to say we raised probably, and I mean, this is obviously hopefully for some educational benefit to the audience, but we end up raising, $200,000-ish. So
that's pretty good.
That a pretty good amount of cash to really, I wasn't paying myself on that. I was like, okay, that's enough cash to move into my dad's basement for 8 months and invest that into the product. And then after 8 months of living in dad's basement, I moved to Chicago and was there ever since. And then that's where I started, building up my own relationships, raising money from what, that next phase is angel investors. So we did an equity crowdfunding campaign online, raised $122,000 there, raised some money from angels. So that was the next round of funding, ended up being about $500,000. And then about a year and a half later, we raised our first institutional round from Phoenix Sports Partners. And that, was really allowed us to start to grow and build out a team aside from just the founders to really start to grow out the business.
And you laid it out perfectly for listeners that may be looking to start something. You started with the bootstrap, and you're not going to get to angel investors right away. You got to get something else to show before you get to that point. So I love the way you laid that out there. On top of that, Carson, is fundraising then still an importance for you?
It's a necessary evil. Unfortunately, yes, it is still part of the roles and responsibilities of one of the co-founders of the business. So yeah, it is. I think it's, and we're actually in the process of closing some funding now. But obviously it's a little bit more cash to grow the business. And, not the fun part. Let's just say that.
Sure. Also, for listeners and entrepreneurs out there looking to get into something, how important is it to lay out like a first 100-day plan?
I mean, and this is, this could be like the military in me, but I am all about just structure and knowing kind of where it is that I want to go. So, 100-day plan, 90-day plan, what are you going to do, and knowing where you want to go. I mean, to your point, everything always kind of comes with a plan. It's just, it's interesting. Like the same, when we raise money from our family and friends and we put a pretty elaborate, a booklet together on, what's the business model going to be? Who are we going to target with the customers? How are we going to spend the cash? What features is that cash going to, give us? How are those features going to translate into more dollars in cash, revenue back into the bank? How much time is it going to take? Like, where are we prioritizing our time? A lot of those kind of similar questions that we built and put that time and effort, we're asking ourselves the same questions now. They're just, obviously there's, what are the next key, hires for the business look like? What are the, areas of growth opportunity? Where are we allocating these resources at? And I think knowing where you want to go is incredibly important. Not just 90 or 100 days out, but like typically when you're fundraising, they say you want to budget your cash for 12 to 24 months. So ensuring that you have the cash over the kind of the long haul to get to where you want to go. So
exactly. More specific now on fan food and for the people that are going to be using it. Approximately how much time does it cut off from just ordering at your seat at like a ball game and have it brought to you, then going and standing in line?
The average wait time, I mean, granted, this is a pandemic. We're just getting through it and venues are starting to reopen. But pre-pandemic, I mean, the average wait time for a professional sporting event is 22 minutes if you're going to go wait in line for concessions. And so, our whole thing was I would rather sit in my seat, continue to watch, the game or event that I'm there to. And like our technology, even like we provide ETAs.
Okay.
So when you're ordering, and we have, pretty basic algorithm that's kind of tied to the queue to the store. So we can tell a fan, hey, if you order, this hot dog and beer, it's going to take about 10 minutes or it's going to take about 15 minutes. Like we're going to let you know, but at least you're sitting in your seat, and then you'll get notified when that order is ready for picked up or B, getting delivered to your seat. So we have that basic level of communication in there. But yeah, I mean, you're cutting your wait times pretty significantly.
Yeah.
So,
and how soon can someone order? Can you do it, when you're pulling into the event in the parking lot, or do you have to wait to be inside? How does that work?
Yep. So we have, and depending on the venue, there is a pre-order delivery service. So if you know that you're going to the game tonight, you can have the ability to order in advance. So I'm going to order in advance and pick up my stuff right as I walk in the gate, right? So I can, I'm walking in the gate. I already ordered, go to the concession stand, grab my stuff. I'm in my seat. I'm good to go. Like no wait times or anything. Alternatively, if you're at the game and you place an order, you have that optionality, and in the app or on the website, it'll tell you what the service is that is available. And that is, like I said, dictated by the venue operators, because some only want to offer that day of express pickup. What we see is that's kind of a very much a crawl, walk, run approach, because, our platform is pretty robust. So to keep it simple, I just want to streamline the lines, take some pressure off the concession, the concourse, start to increase revenue, the per caps. So I'm going to start with express pickup. And then kind of phase two is, it would be really great to offer delivery to the suites, or delivery to like these, certain guests inside, the high rollers, so to speak. So then we're going to turn that service on. So then, so you can get really kind of granular with it. And it all kind of depends on the type of venue and what that service is and what the menus look like. And I think something that makes us a little bit different with our customer success team is we're pretty hands-on during that process. And we kind of like to take a consulting approach and make those recommendations to ultimately help them make more money at the end of the day.
Carson, how hard is it to build a brand, and what kind of lifestyle do you have, if any, outside of it?
Starting to get a lifestyle back. Let me tell you, it's only taken, 5, 6, 7 years, but high school, what high school friends? No, no, and it's interesting, like it's like, we never really thought about like it as building a brand, because it's just like building habits into the business, and over time it turns into something that you like, that you want it to.
That makes sense.
Become, right? Like I don't think about like, let's go out and build a brand. It's like, let's go out and add as much value as we possibly can, and let's continue to do that day in, day out. And like, let's learn what not to do, because I feel like that's a lot about business, is like, I don't want to use the word failing, but you're just learning what not to do and continuing to be persistent, and then evolve that over time. And then kind of the brand becomes what it is at the end of the day.
Well, that makes complete sense. Have you experienced some burnout, I would imagine?
Yeah, very much so. I don't know if this is a TMI, but as a founder, entrepreneur, when the pandemic hit, right, our business relies on large event gatherings. Mm-hmm. And I think one of my biggest problems was taking the failure. I don't want to call it failure, because it's, there's a lot of, the pandemic is outside of our control. Right. Mm-hmm. But I was up late, how are we going to like navigate this, and just trying to work as hard as I can to like and I took some of that responsibility personally. And in hindsight, it was probably burdened myself with a little too much. At the end of 2020, I was actually, I had to take some time off. I got put into I got to go to a hospital for some psychiatric help for a few days, because I experienced burnout pretty hard, crashed pretty hard. But, I'm grateful that I have a awesome supportive team that kind of helped me get through that. And, I'm on the better half of it. So
that's great to hear.
It was tough. I'm not going to lie. It was incredibly hard.
And I had a conversation with a previous guest about mental health during the pandemic, and people, if you're out there, don't look at it as a weakness. Get yourself some help and
totally.
Rely on your support system. I mean, don't think that people won't help you. You can get help, and please do so if you feel like you need to. That's
totally. I mean, like I felt like, especially like with my background being in the military, and I mean, it was, I didn't want to like talk about like depression and constantly being stressed. And, I kind of took that, just work more. But man, it's not productive really at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
It's only causing more harm to the business or into the people that actually matter in your life way more than anything. So
Carson, what is your definition of persistence and how does it apply to fan food?
An unrelenting desire to never give up despite the obstacles, despite the mountains that are right in front of you. I think there's a willingness to never give up. Right. And I think I'm fortunate to have had some military training because I think part of the Army ethos is just that. Like, I will never give up. And I, like to think I would apply that kind of mentality to the business. And yeah, there's nights and days it's where it's like, damn, I don't know if we're going to be able to get through this, but like, you do get through it. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And it's just continuing to do what you do at the end of the day. And you do get through it. You just got to take it day by day sometimes minute by minute, what it takes.
It's almost like the refuse to lose mentality. And another one I use is no today means yes tomorrow.
Exactly.
So I kind of look at that. How does fan food then, how do you guys earn the trust of a potential client? How do you make them go, yes, I want to do this?
Well, I think it starts by like figuring out like where are their pain points, right? Like, and I feel like for fan food and the technology that we've built, the opportunity that I saw in the in-venue space was the problem for a fan to be inside of a venue, order something, skip the lines. Earlier players had the idea, but kind of pivoted their business models to create point of sale solutions focused on hardware. And that software component was the opportunity. And so the mentality that I had, was like, let's be the absolute best at that. Like, let's provide an experience that's incredibly frictionless for a fan. Like, you're at a game, you don't want, like, my goal isn't to get your eyeballs, looking at the app the whole time or stream. Like, I want you to focus and be present in the moment and really enjoy why you're there. Right. Mm-hmm. So like, how do we make sure that you open up this app, place an order as fast as possible so that you can skip the line and be back in your seat without having to miss a single second of the action. And then conversely, it's like for the venue operators, the ones that are responsible for fulfilling that order, right? It's like, think about the folks that are there and how do we make sure that it is super, super, super easy to use, right? Like, most of the time they're volunteer based. Or for high schools, it's like a parent on a booster club, right? So it's like, it can't be like super sophisticated, complicated, like technology that's just a pain in the ass for them. It's like, we have to make it very, very easy. And then at the end of the day, make that and then streamline it. And so, once we identified the pain point, it's like, okay, let's go to market. Let's be the best at building this technology. And then ultimately, let's get their feedback on it. Right? Like, how do we make it better? How do we make it better? How do we make it better? How do we exceed expectations? How do we keep exceeding expectations? And then just, keep doing that. And then market the crap out of that. Like, once you start becoming good at like what you're doing, own it. Right. Yeah. Like, we're at a point now, it's like, we've been doing this long enough. Like, we're experts in the space. Like, we know your problems. Like, hey, your menu sucks. You should change it.
Right.
How are you getting your concessions? Oh, you're going to a Target or Walmart to buy them? There's probably a more efficient way to get that and probably have better margins. Hey, your pricing's wrong. Let's look at your pricing. Start leveraging some of that data and like just being value add in everything we do.
What is the size of the team of Fan Food, and like how many people are involved in it, and your sales force and that kind of stuff?
18 right now. Pre-pandemic is a lot bigger, obviously.
Yeah, sure.
But it's 18 folks. Four guys on the sales team. Team of 4 on the sales team.
Nice. So they got their hands full, which is 4 to do everything you guys are doing for sure.
They do.
Yeah.
They do. Yeah.
Does Fan Food increase the number of times in a customer orders?
Yeah, I think like the average that we're seeing right now is 1.7 frequency, order frequency. So it's like every other fan in an event during an event is placing 2 or more orders. And I think that's pretty compelling.
For you to go to a place and show them this kind of data that can increase their sales percentage to the next level has got to be eye-opening for them.
Yeah, totally.
What was the first event you guys did, and what were your feelings like we're going live with our first event?
Yeah, I can tell you, May 9th, 2017, Austin 360 Amphitheater down in Austin, Texas. And we had 3, it's funny, mobile, express pickup lanes. We had these tents. And the thing that we offered was strictly beverages. Isn't that the kind of the irony? Our first event, we're only offering beverages, but you have to download the Fan Food app, to place orders and skip the lines. But we loved it. We're headquartered in Chicago, broke entrepreneurs. We would drive down to Austin 360, 18-hour drive, and we would operate these events. And we were getting, 50, 100, couple hundred orders. We were the ones handing out the flyers, download the app, giving out promo codes, getting feedback from users and the operators. And yeah, awesome time. And it was a Kings of Leon concert to boot, which is like an awesome band. So it's just really nostalgic to have that. Yeah, it was a surreal moment. Probably one of the top moments as an entrepreneur to experience kind of like your first live, your first go live. So
before I continue on with Carson, visit my website, beforethelightspod.com, and click on the vegas.com banners to get the best deals in Las Vegas. For shows, hotels, and vacation packages, go to beforethelightspod.com and click on the vegas.com banners. If you're a golfer, check out my other podcast. The Golf Zone Podcast takes every phase of golf and makes it into one. If you love golf, you're going to love the Golf Zone. We have free golf giveaways. Go to golfzonepodcast.com. That's golfzonepodcast.com. Episodes drop every other Tuesday. Please subscribe so you do not miss a show. Carson, what was the aha moment for you or your team when you went, we're on to something?
To be honest, I don't know if there was ever an aha moment, because it's like at every phase of the business, I knew that like it would be a challenge to get to that next phase. And like, was I willing to put in the work and the sacrifice in order to get that to that next level? And it was like, yeah, for the first one, like you asked at the beginning of the podcast, like if I wasn't going to do Fan Food as an entrepreneur, I would have gone down the traditional finance, route. And a mentor of mine at the time, I was part-time with it, serving in the Army Reserves, goes, if you're serious about this, you got to go full time with it. You absolutely have to go full time with it. And like that was kind of a big jump to go from like, okay, going to fully dedicate my time and my like effort to this. And like, we're going to give it a real shot. And, after our first few events, it was like the high school, we're getting maybe 15, 20 orders and maybe like $1 an order. So, I'm in my head, I'm like, oh, sweet. Made like 20, $25. Okay, yeah, I can see how this starts to scale, but man, we're gonna have to get a lot of high schools, like a lot. We're gonna have to do a lot of work to get to this. And I'm like, it'll be worth it. It's like, but that influenced a certain strategy. It's like, okay, well, we can't go and, pick up, dial all these phones and get all these schools. Like there have to be a smarter way of doing it. So it's like, hey, how do we start to think about our inbound marketing strategy, and what does that start to look like, and how do we start to get more B2B focused? And so, yeah, I mean, it was just identifying the next couple of big hurdles, and then just and being persistent with it. Right. And then learning what not to do. And, I think one day I'll look back and be like, I'm definitely like the lessons that I've learned, the people that I've met, the value that we've been able to bring, like, I don't regret any of it for the world, but, and yeah, grateful. Like it's a privilege to like be able to build and operate a startup. Truly.
How many properties, locations are you guys in? And are you in international? And if not, are you looking to expand international?
Yeah, we have some venues in South Africa, some professional venues. I would say that, yeah, I think more international expansion comes in 2022, to be honest. Right now we're kind of, and then we have contracts with over 300 venues across the United States.
Nice. What is maybe a market that listeners may not be thinking of that they could find fan food at outside of a typical event or a sports place?
Yeah. Like, so when the pandemic hit, we pivoted in, I'll give you a good example. Luxury hotels, resorts, and water parks.
Good one.
SLS Brickell Hotel is a pretty, well-known, popular hotel in Miami, Florida. And we offer through our web app, you can scan a QR code, you can get poolside service, beachside service, room service, right? I mean, how many times do you go to a hotel and you see that dial up, phone right next to the bed to get room service? It's like, the phone is like literally from the 1980s, I think, 1990, dust off some cobwebs, right? It's like, or alternatively, you could scan a QR code, a menu pops up, you could place your order and you get it delivered, and it's all streamlined. It's a little bit more efficient. So, that's one of the pivots that we kind of focused in on because of the pandemic. So, and one that I think I'm, remain pretty opportunistic about moving forward.
I got a couple I want to throw out there. I don't know if you're already in them or not, but I was thinking about this, like on that question, is airports a possibility and drive-in movie theaters?
Drive-in movie theaters when the pandemic hit, we focused a lot of our time and energy on the drive-in market. And today we're in about 30% of the market in the United States.
Nice.
Doing well. It just makes sense. And then to your point, yes, we actually have recently responded to some RFPs for airport to offer when you're inside your airport and you're at your gate, you could, order, while at your seat, whether that's retail or F&B, and get it delivered to your seat, or you could order it through pickup. And then we talked a little bit about that order ahead service. So if I'm on my plane and I'm stuck on the runway and it's taking forever to get to that, I can order in advance and have it ready for pickup. And all of those types of services, we plan to offer at airports in the future.
That's pretty cool. I like that idea.
Thank you.
How has the pandemic then, because you talked about pivoting and, where you were pre-pandemic, but how has the pandemic maybe helped fan food with all the new safety protocols?
Yeah. I mean, they say what's going to be here to stay. And I think consumer behavior with regard to contactless ordering is something that's definitely here to stay. I mean, pre-pandemic, what we said, the ultimate fan experience in my mind was, how do we solve skipping lines and getting what you want delivered right to your seat so you don't have to miss moments, right? Like that was the problem that we're solving. That was like the ultimate fan experience. And now it seems like the fan experience is the new definition is, how do we make fans feel safe, right? And comfortable as venues start to reopen. I mean, that is what the new ultimate fan experience looks like. And I think that's something that's definitely here to stay. Consumer behavior, in my mind, has definitely accelerated. One of our biggest challenges pre-pandemic was, how do we get people inside an event to know about our app or our service that we're providing? the marketing, and it was a challenge. And because of the pandemic, because of it, fans, guests are a lot more inclined to use this type of service, not necessarily to skip lines, but to make, to keep social distancing at bay. So regardless of the pain point, I think it's something, that's definitely here to stay. And I think there's a lot of other benefits too. If you think about it, like what we're trying to solve at a macro level is, how do we help venues go cashless? Right? Like, what are the benefits of going cashless? There's definitely some, cash liabilities. There's news articles all the time coming out, like, a certain booster club, a parent will, bag some, $10,000 cash, and, so if you can take cash off the playing field, right, there's benefits inherent to that. And there's and people that are responsible for the counting and the reconciliation of all, and you can streamline all of that. You're saving, there's some, cost savings and from that perspective. And I think digital assets, sponsorships, physical, how you make venues and some of the operations profitable in a lot of ways are sponsorships, right? Mm-hmm. And the traditional sponsorship method was eyeballs, impression based. And granted, we're at limited capacity right now, but that has serious adverse effects on sponsorship dollars for the businesses themselves. And the future is all digital, right? So if you believe that contactless is here to stay and that our solution is here to stay, the data and some of the implications behind that becomes incredibly valuable. Because the way that consumer trend is changing, so too are the ways that you monetize off those fans.
On top of maybe the new safety protocols that we were just talking about in cashless and the benefits of that, what has the pandemic taught you personally that you didn't think you would learn when it first started?
The importance of a work-life balance and the importance of, when you are stressed, depressed, or going through some mental health issues, it's okay to go and ask for help. It's okay to delegate responsibility and put more ownership on your team to help solve and tackle some of these problems. Because candidly, we probably would have solved some of those problems a lot faster instead of me trying to take personal, responsibility for some of the things that were just, quite frankly, outside of my control. So I think like a lot of the lessons that I learned like during the pandemic were all about growing up, to be honest with you. I learned how to grow up.
That's great to hear. What is the future trends maybe coming in advancements in technology that you think can help fan food?
I think that some of like the buzzwords around like machine learning and things like that are super interesting when you start to think about the data that we are collecting, right? So understanding the type of fan that is ordering, when they're ordering, how they're ordering, being able to then suggest or recommend certain things because of that consumer preference. All of that data becomes incredibly, I think, valuable. So that's something that I'm like really excited about and leveraging. And then I would say there's like the in-venue kind of wayfinding is still pretty new, like newer technology. And there's some companies out there that are really focused in on solving that piece. But I really like the idea of, if I'm at Coachella Music Festival and it's a really crowded environment and I want to order something and get it delivered right to me, like that's going to be a tough challenge to solve for. Like if you're trying to navigate through a crowded festival, like to have that pinpointed of technology, is something that, companies and stuff are solving for. But like, and other things that we're doing in a sports stadium, for example, that seat vendor that's going up and down the aisle, that's, yelling, get your hot dog, get your beer, everything that we're doing is making it like that environment cashless and contactless. So even the idea of being able to order direct from that guy or gal is cashless. And so I can pull my phone and pinpoint, oh, I see that there's that person going up and down the aisle. Yep. I want to order from that one. Right. And then it's all streamlined. So, that's stuff that I'm definitely excited for, because I think it's going to completely change. Well, I think it's going to change operations, obviously, inside stadiums, but I think it'll be for the better. It's be more efficient. It's going to make venues more money in the long run, provide a better guest experience, and support social distancing.
For the festivals, you need the fan food drone. Fly it over the top to the person, reach up, grab it. The drone takes off.
Yeah, I know. They've been saying that for a while, and I think that's probably going to happen. To be honest with you, just a little drone coming by, drops it on a little string with the little basket of, okay, here's just, hey, you never know.
Never know. If a listener has a place going, hey, I know a place that might be interested in fan food, where can they refer someone to you?
So you can go on our website right now and sign up. It's free. You can get started for free by going to our website, fanfoodapp.com. We post a lot of value add content on our social media channels, whether that's, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. We share a lot of content on LinkedIn on how to take venues cashless, and ideas and trends and tips and tricks and all of that kind of fun stuff. So you can, follow us on there. And there's contact information on all of those to be able to reach out and get a hold of us. So
on that website, is there also a list of venues where if somebody's going to an event and going, hey, I wonder if fan food is available at this place? Is that also on the site?
Yep. You can go to order.fanfoodapp.com. And that will show you can type in a venue and see if it's available. Alternatively, you can download our app. It's available on the iOS and Android marketplace app store. So,
awesome. And how can people connect with you?
Connect to me, Carson Goodale on LinkedIn. Work email, carson@fanfoodapp.com. If you want to shoot me an email and tell me that I did a good job on this podcast, or I'm all ears. I love feedback. That's my direct email at work. It's the best way to get a hold of me.
I'll put links to all that in the show notes as well. Emails where they can get the app, the website, all that stuff. So
awesome.
Carson, man, thanks for taking some time and being on the show. This has been fun.
Yeah, no, it's been great. Thank you so much.
You bet. If everybody else would take a kindly 30 seconds out of your day and go to Apple Podcast and rate and review the show. 5 stars, nice comments are always appreciated. It helps me grow the show immensely. Follow me on Instagram at Before the Lights Podcast. We talked about show notes. Go to the website, beforethelightspod.com. That's beforethelightspod.com. You can go there, click on episodes, and on every episode, you will see show notes and links to each individual episode. Thank you for listening to Before the Lights. I'm Tommy Canale. And until next time, everybody, a salute, a chin chin.